Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to build an Arduino powered MIDI controller. First thing we need to do is gather all the material that we need to build this project, starting with the Arduino. It is going to be the brain of our MIDI controller. We will also need 12 arcade push buttons. Remember playing Tekken, Street Fighter, or even Pac-Man? Well, these are the exact same buttons used in arcade machines. Then we need 2 sliding potentiometers and 4 pot knob potentiometers. And finally, we need to choose a material to build our case. Personally, I chose wood because it's pretty easy to work with. I will leave all the links in the description below in case you want to check them out.
I advise you to draw a sketch of the MIDI interface to know the exact dimensions you will need to build the enclosure and to predict where each component will fit in. You can find the dimension of each component on its datasheet. You can use a nail to puncture the wood so you know where the center of each hole is going to be. First, we are going to drill pilot holes to guide the spade bit when you drill the bigger holes. I use a 30mm spade bit for the push buttons and a 10mm wood bit for the potentiometers. As you can see, wood cracks very easily, so try to be gentle while drilling. Fortunately, the interior got much more damage than the exterior, and it's okay because no one is going to see it. A Dremel would be the most appropriate tool to open the sliding potentiometer slots, also known as faders, but since I don't have one, an X-Acto knife will have to do it. I didn't want the wood looking so pale, so I decided to apply varnish to protect the surface. And then I painted it with a color that pleased me. 2 coatings were applied for each step. If you find any kind of resistance while inserting the push buttons or potentiometers, go back to the hobby file step to make sure you don't damage the enclosure. I bought a multicolored set of push buttons, but then I realized I preferred to create a pattern for the MIDI interface, so I decided to paint them. If I knew it then, I would have bought different buttons. I decided to provide a more visual circuit schematics. There are some important aspects you should take in consideration, such as the 660 ohm resistor between two push button legs and the connection of one of these legs to pin 13. All the potentiometers must be connected to the Arduino analog inputs. The inside of the MIDI controller is going to get very messy, so it's important you structure your soldering. I decided to solder ground wires first. For the arcade push buttons, it's simple. It has two legs. You choose one of them to be the ground and the other one will be the signal. I had a hard time soldering jumper wires to the push button legs, so I came up with this idea. I rolled copper around the jumper wire so the stain would solidify around it. I would like to know if you ever encountered the same problem, and if so, how did you solve it? Please leave a comment down below. Faders have three legs. The first one is ground, then power, and the last one is signal. They could be fixed in place with some appropriate screws, but I didn't have the exact diameter, so I decided to improvise. I would like to mention that I took an Arduino online course that turned out being very helpful to improve my coding and to understand better how to manipulate the Arduino. Now we get to the hard part, the software and coding. So you will need three pieces of software. The first one is the Arduino software, which allows you to write your own code and upload sketches to your Arduino board. The second one is the Loop MIDI software, which is essentially a virtual MIDI cable. To send your MIDI serial data to the Loop MIDI software, you will need a program that is called Hairless MIDI to Serial Bridge. Once you have installed the Arduino software, you will have to open the code I'm providing you in the description. You have the author and the revision history of this coding. I'm not going to go through the code because it's pretty extensive and it could get boring, but just make sure you verify it and then send it to your Arduino board. Next step is opening both Loop MIDI and Hairless MIDI serial bridge. Then you create a new port name. Click on the plus button to add it. And then in the Hairless MIDI serial bridge, serial port is not connected first. We start by MIDI in and MIDI out. And then you connect our serial port. This software is great to help you understand if all your wiring is correct, because you can see the data flux between the MIDI controller and the software. Then you want to head on to your DAW. I'm using Ableton. You want to go to Options, Preferences, and you can see the input is the one we chose. You want to turn track and remote on. And now if you press any button in your MIDI controller, you can see a light flashing on the top right corner. To map your MIDI controller, you just have to select a slot and hit a button. It's that simple.
We can finally start playing with the MIDI controller. But first, I'd like to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment with your feedback or any question you might have. So, let's try it out.